Hi, everybody. Welcome to Next to Media. I'm Mike Shields. My guest this week is Tyler Price. He's the head of content at Bleacher Report. Hey, Tyler, how's it going? Thanks for being here.
Hey, Mike, how are you? Good to be here with you on NFL Draft Week.
Yeah, although I'm looking at your LinkedIn and it's a picture of Fenway Park, which I'm already kind of like turned off this conversation. But
Well, let me
we'll make
ease
it
some
work.
concerns for you then. I am a New Englander through and through, except when it comes to professional football. I'm born and raised
Interesting.
Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so I am a ball
Okay, you're one of
stressed
those
this
people.
week heading into a draft with no quarterback, but you don't have to worry about any Patriots talk here.
Yeah, well, I don't know what it says when the Giants signed Russell Wilson. You guys could not get rid of him
Yeah.
fast enough. That concerns me terribly. But we don't. This is not a sports podcast. We could be. And in fact, I actually took my kids to Fenway up in Boston. And it was an awesome experience. But I digress. This is a weird question because it's a very obvious one. But I was kind of wondering. I've been following Bleacher Report for a long time. How do you define what you are today? You historically you were early, like search-driven content site, lots of very community-oriented. Obviously, you've evolved way past. You're much more of a video strategy. You have a partner. You're part of the Warner family. You're on television. You have apps. Give me like where you are today, if you can.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's great about representing the brand of Bleacher Report is that it has been on an evolution, but it's still grounded in like a few very core principles, right? This is conversations amongst fans. And that's how we see ourselves too, as a voice of a fan joining a conversation we know is already happening with fans. And it's still a personalized experience. So we make sure that whatever we're feeding you is relevant to your Giants for you, or whatever you've told us that you're interested in. We try to create the most personalized, fan voice driven experience. And that was true when it was text based, right? That was the launch of Bleacher Report. Is those early founders really felt like, hey, I'm not getting my San Francisco Giants news when I'm out here in Indiana.
Right.
How do I get more of that? It has evolved in medium over time. Like we are now a very video first company focused on creating that, but still in the same core principles. We want to create video at scale to reach you around the moments that matter, around the teams and interests that matter to you. So that now we've have some great opportunities over year to expand. Obviously, the social boom was huge for Bleacher Report. There's 90 million strong out there following Bleacher across all social platforms. The integration into TNT and WBD has been huge because it's allowed us to integrate some of that great fan-based content into the linear offerings that live on TNT, TBS, and True. And then the BR app itself is an awesome destination. First-in-class alert strategy focused very much on those individuals. So we're super proud of the core position that BR has held since it started and excited about evolving it into a video first offering.
I want to ask about the video first strategy, but catch me up on, you can kind of follow the evolution of digital publishing through you guys or some of your early brethren when you started.
Yeah.
But everybody's different. How much of you hear certain publishers talk about, well, social was everything. It ain't what it used to be. Or, the accounts are brands onto themselves and they matter just as much as some of our destinations. Where I get hard to sum up because you're a lot of things, but where are you in the social landscape right now? What matters, what doesn't, what's hit you, what hasn't?
Well, we super value that audience. I would echo some of the conversations I've heard out there is that the growth has taken a unique turn as elements like TikTok and other YouTube shorts have popped up, where now it's very much a focus on the content you make and less about the scale of audience. But we're super proud of how large BR is off platform on social. I think that has driven our focus, though, even more to creating a similar scale and size and audience on our platforms as well, on the app itself. So we have put a large amount of time, investment, energy into creating unique app experience for our users. Again, very focused on interest-based video. So we have not forgotten about how impactful and powerful social has been for BR and continues to be. But there's even more emphasis now on creating sort of like an interactive fan base experience in the app, where you can connect with fans on a deeper level around the things that you've told us really matter to you.
So that sounds challenging. Like, being video first, historically video requires, it's changing, a lot more resources. You need to be like the professionals. It's not like it's something that it's not easy to do UGC and sports coverage, or at least in the traditional sense of UGC, I guess. How do you do that at scale? Get in, cover all the different teams and sports you need to cover, and also keep the quality at the level that you want it to be at.
Yeah, well, you start with great people, egoless people who are willing to evaluate the way their production workflows go and create more scalable versions of it. I also think it's important to have a multifaceted production playbook, Mike. We can go top of the line. We're doing NFL draft show this week here, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And when all your listeners tune in and watch that inside the BR app, they'll see what looks like a linear production level show. And we have that capability in-house to do it. We also have the capability to do what some would equate to more of an Instagram live feeling live show. We're not afraid to spin up a green screen native TikTok video reacting to a sports moment as the first wave, and then follow that up with a high production studio based live stream conversation that has clip outs that live everywhere. So we try to have that diverse playbook so that we can meet the moment and timing as effective as possible. And then it allows us to work with partners too across. Some partners really want that social native feel no matter where it lives. Some want that higher fidelity production. And we're super proud to have the ability to do all of those things because of the great people and skills that we have inside of BR.
I want to definitely come back to the draft stuff you mentioned. Just in general, you're in an interesting spot because you are attached to a big media company that has a lot of great sports rights, but you're not on your own a sports broadcaster. I don't think you're trying to out ESPN how does that change your role in like what you deliver to fans and what you produce when you're not covering games and then, producing content around them, but you are trying to surround everything that matters to your fan base? If that makes sense.
Yeah. We've always tried to shift away from telling people what's happening and more about experiencing the moments with you. That's always been its core, I think, no matter what we've been creating. So when a big moment happens and Russell Wilson signs with the Giants, we want to experience that story with Giants fans, right? And here's
I'm not
our
certain that's a big moment.
That's a huge moment. Yeah, that really moved the needle for us. But that dialogue back and forth, it's the voice we take, right? We are your peer. I think the thing that really took this to another level for us is two things, actually. One, the access to the rights and the partnerships that TNT Sports has and being part of that ecosystem. Now we went from a friend you get to experience this with to a friend who has like the greatest tickets and access you could ever imagine that you get to experience this with. So when we are covering the Stanley Cup this year for NHL, we're going to take some mega athletes, bring them to right on the glass of it. We'll mic them up and we'll shoot them experiencing their first Stanley Cup game, right? That to me it's more of the access piece that TNT has provided has allowed us to just up what we're providing to our friends as we all experience this moment. And then what we did a few years ago is we started bringing athletes into that conversation too, because we realized that they're experiencing these moments in real time too. And they're not the one telling you what's happening, right? When Mookie Betts hears about an MLB trade, he's hearing about it the same way you are.
He's a fan. He's as dialed in as anybody.
Exactly. And so giving the opportunity for your everyday fans, your megastar athletes to all experience those moments together through access and interactivity, that's kind of our core principle. And to your point, that's a complement to the traditional sports experience, not a direct competition to.
Right. Okay. So on the flip side, like unlike the Stanley Cup example, you're going big. Tell us what you're doing with the draft this year.
Yep.
And how is it different? Because you don't have the draft, quote unquote. Yes, but you try to attack that from a different way and give fans something else when they're going to find out the results one way or the traditional we think. What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we've been doing live draft coverage since 2013. It's always been through that lens of like, let's experience these moments together, right? In a traditional format, they have obligations to follow the walk of the player up, to watch the Goodell hug moment, which are like super important parts of the NFL draft experience. But that allowed us always to like get to the reaction sooner, right? Interact with the fans right away. So we started that in 2013. About 4 years ago, we're like, okay, listen, fans really like this. It is always the busiest day in the BR app. We know people are in here for the interactivity. What if we started adding some athlete voices in there as well? And so now you're experiencing that with these like CJ Strouds of the world as the Texans make their draft pick, right?
Yeah.
And that took this up to another level. I think what's great about this year is in playoffs this past season, we launched an official partnership with the NFL. That partnership provided us highlight rights, if in-game highlights inside the BR app, access to historical highlight usage off platform and some of the content that we create, and access to some of their tentpole events, including draft. So this year, we will have the most robust draft coverage we've ever had, because you have that conversation reactionary feel. You have the athletes now. It'll be Micah Parsons and Darius Slay Jr. this year. Adam Lefkoe, always the great host there, and Michael Renner coming in as an analyst. But those two athletes kind of giving you that athlete reaction. And we have the ability now to show NFL highlights in the show when we're doing player comps, as you can imagine, taking a look at how
so it won't feel like you're B-listing, at all.
No.
Like you're not like giving a sacrifice if you're enjoying this coverage.
All the way down to being on site in Green Bay. So we're going to have access to the draftees when they come off that stage with Goodell to do interviews directly with their peers now, with Micah and Darius talking directly to those draftees. So this show this year is like an evolution. It feels like we've been on this incredible journey, and now we're amazed at what the NFL partnership has provided. I still feel like it's a complimentary experience because it is such a different experience than what you're watching on your linear networks. But it's super interactive, it's conversational, and that was at the core of this when we started in 2013.
Right. When it comes to getting your stuff, like you said, being video first, you're on television in different ways now.
Yeah.
How do you figure out, it's still relatively early in the evolution of streaming TV. People use a handful of apps, but it's changing. How do you prioritize what's going to be on your own app, Max? You've got YouTube, which is on television, sort of, but it's not exactly the same experience. How do you prioritize distribution, and then how do you figure out how do you help people find stuff?
I mean, the thing, it's an amazing opportunity because more and more avenues for access to new fans are opening up, both through our internal partnerships and just by the evolution of the platforms. But the thing we do the best, I think, is we listen. We see what works, we iterate, and no one's precious. So stuff that worked for us on Instagram for, the last 5 years, all of a sudden YouTube Shorts opens up and we're like, great, let's start pushing some of that stuff in there. Not working. Great. We need to change what lives there. And that doesn't mean that it wasn't right for what we were doing then, but evolution is so
every
important.
Platform is different.
Yeah. And if you listen to your audience, they are telling you. It's really just, you have to listen. So that's the biggest thing for us across all platforms, because even the historic ones are evolving, right? And we watch IG change every few months on what's working there. So we're great listeners. I have an incredible partnership with the programming team who are really heads down running those feeds. They communicate that back to the content side quite regularly. And it's a really special partnership. The other thing that I think has been great is the partnership that BR has created with Max. It's allowed us to elevate some of our more premium content into a premium platform and put it adjacent to these incredible sports rights. I mean, no surprise here. What reigns supreme in Max as far as sports goes is that live game, right? But if you're watching NBA playoffs and you're seeing these stars, Jason Tatum go to work on the Magic yesterday, right after that, served up to you is this great interview of Candace Parker and Dwayne Wade talking about playoff mentality that BR has produced.
Right.
The overlap between our social platforms, off-platform, app, and Max, there's a decent Venn diagram there, but it's a whole new audience within that Max ecosystem that we've had chance to learn about.
Right.
So we attack every opportunity.
And what have you learned? For example, are they like longer sessions? Are they a different demo? Like what might be interesting?
I think that historical look back content does really, really well on Max storytelling pieces, right? That's why I referenced the Candace Dwayne conversation. I think that seemed to be something that really is sticky with that group. So we've tried to create more long form experiences for those viewers that, as you can imagine, traditionally would not work on a TikTok or an Instagram.
Yeah.
In the app, we see a lot of live reactionary type stuff, but some of that long form storytelling seems to be playing really, really well with the Max audience.
How much in your life does this come up where you want to go wherever your audience is going to be, and like different things work in different platforms, like you said, but the financial arrangements are different for all these things. And you make more money from connected television advertising than YouTube, let's say, but then I don't know if you make any money from TikTok right now or Reels, or maybe that's changing. How do you factor all those things in when you're making decisions? Do you have to kind of just go where the audience is? What does that look like?
Yeah, it really, the focus on us has always been that audience, and then creating like some really high level partnerships, right? We'll do our part. We're going to curate the next generation of sports fans. We're going to make sure we're reaching all of them whenever we need to reach them. And then we're going to go and create partnerships like the ones with the NFL, right? Where now we have such a unique setup with them where we're part of the OMP partnership within the NFL, but just from a digital perspective. And so when you combine those two things together, that's been the stories to success. When you start tinkering too much and saying we're only doing this or we're only doing that, we start to leave what makes us our superpower, which is this giant audience. So really great partnerships, listen, care, grow your audience. Those two things have led, this year for even early in the NFL partnership, but we got to work with Amazon, AWS, Microsoft, Snickers right out of the gate because we just had the audience and reach on the digital that they had been seeking out in a partner for a long time. And that has just kind of given us a lot of confidence to continue to build powerful partnerships, take care of your audience, and the money follows.
You're seeing the NFL in particular, but I think all the leagues are trying to experiment with working with creators more, bringing them into the fold. How do you guys look at that? Because on the one hand, you are creators, or some of your, I would think you have talent that is good at YouTube and has audiences there. Versus there's a whole ecosystem of independent people that are really good at that. Yep. Do you want to partner with them? Do you want to try and build your own group audience? Both, all, nothing. What does that look like?
Yeah, we attack that type of partnership with open arms. We see the power of creators out there. I was talking about this with the Drew Muller, who oversees the House of Highlights brand inside of Bleacher Report as well. And they're super aggressive in that creator space. They've even launched a league called the House of Highlights Creator League, where they take some of the greatest creators, bring them together. They compete in traditional sports formats, all you would watch in a traditional league. And it does incredible performance numbers for them. I think what it is there's this narrative that Gen Z doesn't care about sports, or they're less.
I was coming to that. Yeah. And there's a narrative that traditional media isn't good at creators, doesn't know what to do with them.
But I think it's such the opposite. They care so much about sports that they're willing to watch Joe Schmo, you and me, go play golf for 45 minutes, right? They're dialed into high school basketball games that they can now stream, being voiced over by a creator in their community. They care deeply about sports. They care about the personalities and the people they're talking about more. And so we're super invested in creating really healthy relationships with those creators out there. What we can offer to those creators, and I'm sounding like a broken record here a little bit, Mike, but is our audience, right? Come here. If you want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, I will give you a platform to go live 4 times inside the BR app a week to talk to super dedicated Eagles fans who have been there for the last 10 years, right? So you mix that.
So we can make you bigger right off the bat. Like that's a selling point.
You mix that with your own brand building efforts off platform, And we've created a win-win for both folks. Where like we're providing the audience with stuff that we know they want and are excited with, and we're giving those creators a platform to acquire new folks who have been following Bleacher Report for years, specific to the things they want to talk about.
All right. So on your Gen Z point, like I think I mentioned this, like there's definitely there's a narrative out there that they don't want to, they only care about highlights. They only care about stars. They can't sit there for a 3-hour game. Do you think, like, should the leagues be worried? Is it just about catering to them in a different way? They have their expectations of a sports broadcast or fandom. What should we know about them?
Well, I don't think worried is the right word. I think there's incredible opportunity. Are we going to have to continue to iterate on the playbook? For sure. Right. And some of those leagues are already doing incredible jobs. Like I love what the NBA does. Every year they're rolling out new initiatives, bringing new voices in to cover the game in unique ways. They have an incredible creator partnership program there. Similar to Creator League, they do a big creator game around All-Star. They're constantly bringing folks on the road to reach them. They seem to have embraced this ecosystem quite robustly. And I think that's what it's going to take across for every league, right? Is just like acknowledge that the audience is in different places. It doesn't mean that the core offering is any less powerful. We just got to make sure that that is distributed to the places where these people are. So I think it's an incredible opportunity more than anything. Shifts in media are always good for sports because people never stop caring about sports. Where they go, how they consume it, how they're talking about it changes. But I think that the feeling around it and the commitment to the game and sports has not changed. It's just how we speak to the audience about it.
Right. And it sounds like you're finding that we're seeing they care about different stuff too. They care about the traditional leagues, but they care about, like you said, high school sports a lot more Premier League than maybe a couple of generations ago or whatever. There's just a different range of stuff they're into.
I think they care about reacting to moments, right? Is that they want to be quickly informed, be able to understand exactly what happened, and then instantly get into a conversation about it. I think that's the thing about this younger generation more than anything is like, I want to know everything that just happened. Even if I couldn't watch the whole game, how quickly can I digest it all so that I can launch into a conversation about it? So I can get into it with my community right now. So being able
it's a lot more participatory than just sitting on the couch.
Provide instant context so that you can launch into dialogue. That I think is what this audience cares the most about.
What else before I let you go? What else should we know about draft night? What should fans be looking out for? What's gonna be exciting about this? And then what does that maybe tell us about where you're headed as a company?
Yeah, no, we're super excited. I think because of the level that we've reached on draft, now we're able to increase distribution. So you can find the draft live in the BR app. We'll have it on BR YouTube as well. Now it'll be live in Max. So if you tune into Max for your games, you'll see the BR draft night live right there. Obviously, we're super excited to have Micah back. Darius Slay Jr., who is a Pittsburgh Steelers. I swear that's a coincidence. But having his perspective as the Steelers work their way through the draft. We just love that interactivity element where while we're waiting for picks to happen, Adam Lefko really does a great job facilitating the conversation between our audience and those stars, predicting what's going to happen, getting their takes. And it's just a great experience for you as you consume one of the most exciting nights in sports.
All right. Well, I'll see if it's a great experience for me that night. Well,
all right. Let me know.
It depends a lot on on what the Giants do. But awesome conversation, Tyler. Thanks so much, and let's chat again down the road.
I appreciate it, Mike. Hang in there.